Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. This is the 100th episode. Well, 101, but the other video I did was a 2-part series on Perry Rourke, a DMI guy that I met and became friends with while I was in Out-Atwater. So even though this is actually 101, this is officially my 100th episode. And before I start, I want to thank everybody for being a part of this journey, for watching me every day or every time I put out the video, and for all the positive comments and all the love and the support that I've been receiving. And anybody else that's watching this for the first time, I don't ever mention it in my videos. I don't have the highlights on my screen, but I'm grateful for your guys' support. And the way you guys can show me love and support is by hitting that like button and subscribing to my YouTube. I'm always looking for more subscribers. I want to be able to get to a point where I'm making money off of this to enough where I can elaborate and do the things that I really want to do. Like this, sharing my video, doing these videos, and taking you guys through the course of my time and experience is to give you a taste of the life that I've lived for the last 2+ decades in the federal United States penitentiary. And if you guys been following me on this journey, it's a treacherous environment. It's full of chaos. It's full of violence. It's all tears and heartaches. But every now and then, there's a glimpse of hope. Every now and then, we find ways to have fun and enjoy ourselves to the best of our ability in the environment that we're at. I always preach accountability through these videos. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, what you shouldn't and shouldn't do. The purpose of these videos, the purpose of me speaking to you, is to emphasize that where I've been for the last 2+ decades is not a place that you want to be. It's not a place that you want your kids to be. And so if it's not a place that you want your kids to be, then why would anyone feel that it's okay for somebody else's kids to be there? Everybody has their own personal agenda. Everybody lives their own life, and everybody's going to eat in the best way they know how. So whatever you signed up to, understand what's expected of you in this life. And understand that when you're the first guy, pointing a finger at somebody, the saying goes, there's 3 fingers pointing right back at you. Now, the story I have to share with you to celebrate our 100th episode isn't a happy one or anything special. It's just in a chronological order that I'm trying to tell my story. This is where we're at. But maybe in this episode, there's a lesson to be learned from it. I can only share it, and you're going to be able to take the lesson, if there is one in there, and hopefully see it and maybe apply it to into your own life. At this time, we had a Vietnamese homie named Baby T. He's been throughout the system. He's a hustler. He's not a gangster. He's a hustler. Like I said, because somebody isn't the person that fights or isn't a killer, I don't look at that as a point against them. What I respect is somebody being who they are. And then I get to decide if I'm going to be your friend or not. So Baby T, he's been around the system. And everywhere he goes, he runs a dice game. When I say he runs a dice game, he does it casino style, where you have the board with all the numbers, the 5, 6, 5, 9, 10, 4, 6, 8. You can bet on the field. You can bet whatever. He come everywhere he goes. He runs the dice game. When he got to Out-Atwater, he turned the yard out with that dice game. We started out with one dice game and ended up with 5 different dice games on the yard. Different homies running each of the dice game because we had to disperse the crowd. For some reason, black people, Mexican people, everybody but the white people, they all love dice. So when he came, he took our financial situation to another level. Because with the dice game and with my poker table and we're running the football tickets, some of the homies running the football tickets, we were pretty much in charge of the economy over there. So needless to say, Baby T had a lot of books. And the CO knows this. The SIS knows this. They know everything that's going on in the compound. So the SIS, they make it a routine to come in and kick in Baby T's door and confiscate his books. These are books of stamps, not reading books. Our stamps is our currency in Out-Atwater and throughout other penitentiaries across the United States. So they come in there and confiscate it from him. They can because in the rules, in the guidebooks, you can't have more than 4 books of stamps. So anything more than 4 books of stamps is considered contraband, and they can confiscate it. And the only way you get it back, if you can prove that you bought these from commissary, or 2, you're exchanging something to receive them back. I don't give a fuck what people tell you. They're not gonna give that shit back to you unless there's a fair exchange. So anyway, in this other incident, Baby T runs the dice game, so he's always got a lot of books with him. They run in on him. They take his books a few different times. So now he's got a little smarter and he spread the books out. Like he has a homie hold a few hundred here, a homie hold another few hundred here. He's got them all spread out to different homies holding his books. So that way when they run in on him, they don't get it all. Well, he pissed dirty for weed and ends up going to the shoe. But while he's in the shoe, one of our older homie named Dennis, Chinese out of LA, he's an old man though. He's already in his mid-60s already. Well, he's holding 300 books of Baby T. Well, Baby T spends 30 days in the shoe for the dirty. So when he comes back out, he goes to Dennis and asks Dennis for his books of stamps. Well, Dennis said he doesn't have it because a Hawaiian dude named Z came in there and got it from him. But Baby D's like, well, why did you give it to him? Well, Dennis gave him the impression that he didn't really have a choice. Z's a good-sized Hawaiian. But with Z, he's also a dope fiend. He likes to use whatever, he likes his drug of choice is meth. So when he gets high and doesn't have the money to get high anymore, he finds other ways to compensate that. Now he knows that Dennis is holding 300 books of Baby T and Baby T's in the shoe. So he went to Dennis' cell and told Dennis to give him those books. But he told Dennis in a way that left the impression to Dennis that if he didn't give up the books, there was probably going to be some bodily harm happening. So Dennis gave him, out of fear, gave Z the 300 books. So I come out in the yard and Baby T and them comes and tells me, Baby T and the homie K and the other Vietnamese homie Jimmy, they come and tell me, hey man, Z went up there and took the 300 books from old man Dennis that belonged to Baby T. I said, oh, what do you mean? He just took it. Yeah, he went in there and just took it. They weren't his. So I asked him, what you guys want to do? They're like, well, shit, that's like stealing. So they want to deal with the situation. I said, yeah. And Jimmy, you know, he's a Vietnamese dude. He's a little wild. He was like, hey, man, shit, I'll go up in there and just somebody come with me because Z's kind of big. Just somebody come with me. We'll go in there and handle it. I said, well, who have you spoken to? They said they already spoken to the homie Eddie Sua. I said, what did Eddie tell you? Well, Eddie said he was going to deal with it. I said, well, if you already spoke to Eddie and he said he's going to deal with it, then you got to let Eddie deal with it. You can't go ask somebody to mediate for you and they tell you they're going to take care of it and then come back around and bust a move on your own. I said, you guys forfeit that opportunity already when you ask Eddie to mediate. You know, and Eddie, anybody that knows him, I've shared stories with him. He's a person that there's only one, it's a love-hate relationship. You either love him or you hate him. And most of the people that hate him is because they were busters and Eddie had put his foot on their neck. But if Eddie respects you and cares about you, hands down, he's going to give you the shirt off his back. You know, every incident that we have, every group function that we've had while we were in Out-Atwater, while Eddie was there, man, he doesn't ask anybody to come and pitch in for anything. He take care of everything for the homie. He's showed the homie so much love. And some of them appreciate it and some of them don't. But that doesn't determine how Eddie conducts himself. Now, but if you show that you're a buster or you're a greedy piece of shit or whatever, then Eddie's going to become your worst nightmare. But they already approached Eddie and asked him about and explained the situation to him. And Eddie told him they're going to take care of it. But 2 days went by and nothing happened. So the Asian dudes, they're getting a little antsy, the Vietnamese in particular, because, you know, everybody knows that Z went and took these stamps that belong to Baby T. And if nothing happens to Z, it's going to make them look bad. But also at the same time, Baby T lived in the same unit with Z, and he didn't want the word out that he already went and politicked on Z, and Z might get mad and smash him. So I went in to their behalf to go talk to Eddie. I said, hey, you already know the situation with what's going on with Z. So what are we doing with that? Well, they've been waiting for Z to come out of the unit, because in the unit he's selling with another Hawaiian dude named Rob. And Eddie already went and told Rob, like, hey, we're gonna smash your celly. Seeing if he wanted to volunteer to do it, because that's his celly, that's his friend. Usually, when your homeboy fucks up, you're not gonna, out of pride, you're not gonna let some other race or some other people deal with the situation. You want to deal with yourself because, one, it's your responsibility. If my homeboy fucks up, I'm going to be the one to chop him up. If he's Cambodian, I'm going to be the one to chop him up. Because I want to make sure that everybody understands that I live by a certain standard. And if anybody around me is in violation of that, they don't have to worry about it. I'll take care of it. Because one, I'm going to feel disrespected that this dude around me is not living up to my standard. And two, the shit that you're doing while you're around me can jeopardize my livelihood. And I'm not going to allow you to do that. I'm going to punish you before I allow you to do that. But Rob didn't volunteer to go handle that, even though they were cellies and they were good friends. So Eddie went and asked Bryson to deal with it. You know. And with Bryson, he's never going to say no. Especially to Eddie or to me. He grew up with Eddie in the juvie system in Hawaii. They're like brothers. They got a lot of love and respect for each other. So if Eddie comes and asks Bryson to do something, Bryson's going to do it. My concern is that, you know, Bryson gets called upon a lot to take care of the business because, well, there's nobody that can stand against him. If he punches you, he's going to knock you out. So there's no situation that exists in the penitentiary that is called for brute force, violence, and strength that Bryson's not going to be able to handle. But I told Bryson, I said, bro, you can't be the one to keep dealing with situation. But there was a concern because Z, he can fight, and he's pretty strong. In a video prior to this, a few videos prior to this, I told you when he knocked out Pat on the softball field. And there was comments like, yeah, Z's a ninja. Yeah, that fucker's quick and the fucker's hit hard. And he knows how to fight. But in my experience, don't matter who you are, don't matter how big you are, don't matter how tough you are, and don't matter how many you are, no one's ever been able to go up against Bryson and succeed. So they have a football game the next day. And Eddie tells me, well, we're just going to get him on the football field. When he comes out and play football, we'll deal with the situation. So I go out and watch the football game. They play football or whatever. The homie wins the game. But nothing happened. You know, they said, all right, we're going to do it after the football. So after the football game, I'm watching by where all the tables at, where the crowd is at. Now, to me, it'd be so simple because Bryson's sitting next to him or on the table with his foot up right next to Z. I just know that this is about to happen. Like, I've never seen Bryson hit anybody. I've been in riots with him, but when I'm in the riot with him, I'm too busy defending my own livelihood that I don't know what Bryson is doing. I can only find out after the fact, you know, from the spectators that all the shit that he was doing. So I really wanted to see Bryson hit somebody one time, you know, just to be able to witness it because I've always heard about it. I mean, I've seen the results, but I've never seen it actually happen. So I'm watching, and everybody gets off from the football field, from the table, because they call recall, and we're moving out of yard 1, where the softball field is, through the gate to yard 2. But right when you walk through the gate between yard 1 and yard 2, there's a handball court. There's a big wall with 3 handball courts on one side and 3 handball courts on the left side. So as I'm walking through, I see Bryson and Z walking next to each other. And they're going to the left while I'm going to the right. So I sprint, like literally sprint, past the handball court, which takes me about 2 seconds. I sprint past the handball court so that I can be on the other side so I can catch what happens. Well, when I sprint past the handball court, I don't see anything. I don't see Z. I just see Bryson, but I don't see what's going on. So I'm like, well, they changed their mind? Like, what's going on? So I said, fuck it. I walk out the yard on yard 2, and I'm outside the gate waiting for everybody to go in because they just called recall. So I'm standing on the gate. Then Kay, Jimmy, and Baby T, they bounce over. Well, while I'm walking to the gate, I see Bryson come, bouncing on his feet. He walks past me and goes into the unit. So I'm just like, hey, what happened? They changed their mind? You know, so I'm kind of baffled because I thought there was a hit supposed to go down. So I'm standing on the fence, and here comes Kay, Jimmy, and Baby T. They come bouncing over to the gate where I'm at. It's like, damn, did you see that? I said, no, I didn't see it. I was trying to catch it. Well, what happened? He goes, man, look over there. Look over there. So I'm looking across the yard, past the handball court, towards the basketball court. He said, man, look in the corner. Look in the corner. And I'm looking. I still don't see anything. So I'm scanning my eyes. He goes, look, right there in the ditch, right in the corner between the handball court and the basketball court, you'll see a tip of the shoe. So I looked down, I looked over there, and sure enough, there's, the tip of the shoe, two of them is barely sticking out of the grass. Because there's like a little ditch right in the corner of the basketball court. I was like, damn. I said, what? Because I didn't see it. I bounced past the handball court so I can catch it. And in even that split second, like I said, literally 2 seconds to walk past the handball court. And I guess in that 2 seconds, I missed it. So I guess what had happened was when we were coming out the gate, there's the handball court wall right here. I veered off right and sped up so I can be on the other side to see what's going on this side. But Bryson and Z walks towards the left. And Bryson had his arm around Z. And while he had his arm around Z, somebody had called Z, and Z turned his head to go see who was calling him. And that's when Bryson clipped him. Like, Bryson didn't pull his arm back and swung all his might. Bryson just had him like this and just clipped him and knocked him out cold. And while he was out cold, another homie named Wise out of Virginia, he's like half Asian and half Afghanistan or something like that. But anyway, I guess when Bryson chipped him, knocked him out, Wise went and started jumping on his head like a trampoline. Jumped on his head about, 8, 10 times. Then rolled his body off into the grass. Because when I seen Bryson, I just seen him bouncing off. While he was leaving, bouncing off, I guess that's when Wise was stomping on the dude's head. So Bryson goes into his unit. Wise go into the unit. And there's nothing else for me to see, so I go into my unit. But when I go into my unit on the second floor, in the corner where our cells used to be, you can look out into the yard. And I'm looking out in the yard because I spot the toes already. So I'm looking out in the yard to see if this guy wakes up. They already closed the movement for our east side, and they're about ready to call the west side movement. Well, while I'm watching, there was a CO, a counselor on the other walk on the west side, walking towards the unit. And when he walked by, he noticed something in the grass. So I could see him on the radio saying something. Then I could see Ponce, Moreno, and another CO that was working the compound, like, start turning their head, like, what are you talking about? Type shit. And from what I can see from my view is that the counselor that was on the walk was giving the rec CO on the yard directions to locate the body. And they're wandering around like this, looking for it. And finally, they spot the 2 toes sticking out of the grass. So they went over there. They called for emergency backup. SIS came out with a wheelchair. And I'm watching. They finished calling the west side in. They went and shook down a couple of homies on the west side. They let everybody in the unit. All the yard is clear. And I'm watching from my window. And they're trying to pick Z up. Trying to get him to get up. Like he came to a couple times, tried to get up on his knee, and collapsed back. After the third try, and 20 minutes later, They realized he couldn't get up on his own. So they picked him up, put him in a wheelchair, and rolled him out. Now, why Bryson, that night, there's cameras everywhere. There's cameras on the yard. There's cameras in the unit. Everywhere you go, there's cameras. So they ran the cameras back, came and snatched up Bryson, came and snatched up Wise, and locked them up. Now, while they were in the shoe, Baby T comes to me and tells me, hey, we're going to make Dennis pay that money, which is $1,500, the value of the 300 books that Z took from him. He said, hey, we're going to make Dennis pay that $1,500 back. When Bryson comes out, I'll give Bryson $500 of that. So when he said that to me, I kind of got in my feelings. I was like, what do you mean? Bryson gets $500 of that. Yeah, for helping out, for putting in the work, we'll give Bryson $500. I said, no. Bryson doesn't get $500. Bryson gets the whole $1,500. And when I said that, they kind of looked at me like, huh? What do you mean? I said, check us out, Baby T. Your money got taken from you. That shit's gone. They took that from you already. If you would have came and said, hey, this guy stole from me. He's too big for me. He's too tough for me. But I'm willing to go. I just need help. If you did that, then you might have some claim to whatever's debt that's owed. But you didn't do that. You came and asked somebody else to go in your stead. And I try to tell people this all the time. When you go on a mission, regardless of the intention, where it's just a DP, which is a disciplinary punishment, it's not guaranteed that it's going to turn out the way that you expect it to. You can go DP somebody and end up hitting them one too many times, and that guy might die. So your intention was just to discipline your homie, but now you killed him, and now you got a body and caught a case. Because when Wise was jumping on this dude's head, it could have easily broken his neck or his spine or anything else. And now Bryson, instead of just having a shot for assault, is going to be facing a new case. Might be a murder case. I said, you ask this man, Bryson, to go handle this business, that he's going to jeopardize his freedom, his time to handle the business that you weren't willing to do. And you're going to offer him $500 for that? I said, no, your money has been taken from you already. You need to just chalk that up to the game. When Bryson gets out, he gets that whole $1,500. And the reason I was adamant about that is because we have to appreciate people that are willing to put in the work to help make sure and sustain the yard, to keep it up to standards the way we want to. And the reason I'm adamant about that, because, I don't hold it against someone that they're not a fighter, that they're not a killer. But even if you're not a fighter or you're not a killer, when you're disrespected, when something's taken from you, you got to find somewhere within yourself to want to stand up for that. If you're not willing to do something to stand up for yourself and ask someone else to stand up for you, then yeah, I hold that or not against you. Because like I said, any mission that you go on, whatever your intention is, there's no guarantee that's going to turn out right. I have a homeboy that was in Lee County that went on a mission to go stab up some rat. I shared this with you in a prior episode. He ended up getting stabbed on accident in the back of the ear. He went on to go, he went on a mission to go punish a rat. And he's the one that ended up dying. Went to sleep, didn't even know that he had been stabbed. His brain filled up with blood, and he never woke up. So for our soldiers, for the people that's willing to put their lives on the line, that goes on these missions, that is asked of them, it's all respect and it's all love, and they should be rewarded accordingly. If you're a bystander, if you're one of those that's not willing to put in your own work, man, you get what you got coming by the grace of the rest of us. Because if you're not on the front line, you don't have no saying in what's going on. Welcome to the USP.